Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday morning. More news on the Amy Bradley case, and it's been all over the news because there was a Netflix documentary the other week, basically stating what happened, what could have happened to her, and talking to her family, and it's really made sort of world news again as so much more come out, especially about this yellow guy who was a bass guitarist on the plane who was a bit dodgy. And his name was Alistair Douglas, but he goes by another name as well. So the story is Amy Bradley vanished at sea on a ship 27 years ago. And years why her brother will never forgive flipping cruise director exclusive. The FBI still list Amy Bradley as missing, and her case remains open for Brad and his family. The search for the truth hasn't stopped. Sorry, it's one of those stories which is quite bizarre because, like I said, sightings of the family weren't happy with the Royal Caribbean cruise director Kirk Detweiler. Brad James Detweiler had a flippant attitude and displayed zero empathy towards the Bradley family after Amy's disappearance. Yeah, it was bang out of order. She went missing in March 1998 without a trace. It's been 27 years since Amy Lynn Bradley vanished without trace during a Royal Caribbean cruise. But for her brother, Brad Bradley, the pain hasn't dulled, and neither has his anger towards one crew member, the ship's cruise director, Kirk Detweiler. And obviously, I have done a video on it, but this is quite interesting because it's someone else who was on a cruise 2 weeks after Amy went missing. And this was a sort of this girl was 15 at the time, and it's this TikToker who's basically telling the story. This is very, very interesting.
Guys, this is absolutely breaking news for anyone interested in the Amy Bradley case. So, Tiffany Allard of Massachusetts just posted, and she said, "Most of you know my family and I have been avid cruisers since I was 9 years old. Recently, I watched Amy Bradley is Missing on Netflix. Takes place on Royal Caribbean Rhapsody of the Seas. Amy went missing March 20th from the ship. Nothing could ever be proven. It is believed the bass player of the Royals Calypso band was one of the main suspects, believing he smuggled her off the ship and was said to have, we're not going to read that part out loud, but we know what. 2 weeks after this happened, my family and I went on this same cruise. I have pictures of the main suspect, Yellow, and myself. I was 15, guys. She was 15. She was 15 with her best friend. I'm not going to read the name. He was taking us to the nightclub on the ship and constantly asking to take us to the beach and off the ship, etc. We liked the attention, but thankfully we weren't that stupid. And my mother and father would have be very angry with us. Let's just say it's crazy to think one wrong decision could have changed the course of our lives forever. This could have been us. 2 weeks after he was a suspect, and he was still employed trying the same thing. Royal Caribbean did nothing to help find this girl. We never heard so much as a rumor. How many others has this happened to? When are the cruise ships going to start being investigated? This has to be a hot spot. Mind is blown. Yes, our minds are blown too. I mean, this picture, it speaks 1,000 words, especially to anybody who's been following this case closely and knows what's going on. All right, new details coming soon.
Really interesting stuff, information which is coming out. And I'm glad, obviously, even sadly, if Amy is not found, it certainly gives light on a case. And, thank you for this, obviously, woman coming out who technically have called out Alistair, is that basically he has a track record of trying to maybe get women off boats or basically get them to do what he wants them to do at the end of the day. This guy seems serial to me, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. And thinking about it, and another woman came forward she said that things used to go on the boat when she was actually working on there, basically, which she's too scared to talk about. So I think it was possibly trafficking was one of the major points which has been brought up, and it just wouldn't surprise me. It can't be proven, but like I said, when people come out and hear stories, it's a little bit weird. This Alistair Douglas, he seemed to shy away from and change conversations as though Amy was a troubled young woman. And like I said, her family said she was really, really happy. And the photos I saw of Amy basically on the, on the ship with her family, she looked like she was having a blast dancing with her brother. So for her to go missing for no reason, that doesn't make sense. And obviously the 6 a.m. where the ship's about to dock, maybe that's a great time to take someone off the ship. And like I said, if this Alistair, aka Yellow, is basically telling 50-year-olds, oh, we can go to the beach, that's really, really strange. Lucky those two young girls were really, really clued up. But like I said, but you have to think, what if they wasn't? Someone says, I'm really happy that more people are coming forward. Royal Caribbean has been corrupt for decades, as if humanity hasn't come up with better rules, laws and regulations regarding the safety and protection of passengers and crew, especially international waters. Very true. The Amy Bradley case has finally brought attention to not only trafficking, but the several other incidents that have occurred on their vessels. Yes, we want to find out what happened to Amy. We also want to know what's going on with Royal Caribbean. There have been 9 other cases that the FBI has been investigating regarding Royal Caribbean in 2025 so far. We are not talking about the petty crimes, we're talking about hefty cases. Recently, a boy was SA'd, wow, by 2 men aboard their ship. Something got to give, and I'm in shock at the company. They continue to post as though nothing has happened. Like, hello, a crew member tried to unalive another crew member the other day. Oh my God, this is just getting nuts. Even screening their own crew, they aren't doing. I will never go on a cruise again, says Mimi. Wow. Just reading her post. She has no idea her post would blow up. She's only sharing a story with a few followers and probably didn't think the check for errors at that point. Good point. Really, really good point. But like I said, I think, obviously the documentary was out there, what people are saying, there's a hell of a lot. I think that went on in the disappearance. I think it was planned. I do think that people from the director right down to crew members knew what was happening. There's some weird, weird things happened in the sort of run up to Amy going missing as well. Let me know your thoughts on that, because like I said, it seems like this Alistair Douglas have got a track record hitting on children and women as well. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much.